What's up? I'm Michael. Welcome to my Deli, and today I'll be taking you on the grand tour of my PlayStation profile. Yes, it's true. I have 100 platinums, and I've popped every single trophy on my profile, including all of the DLC. I'm so excited to share with you the games I've played over the years and information both about the platinum and the title itself. I was an Xbox gamer for the longest time, and I finally jumped ship with the PlayStation 5, and I think it's one of the best decisions I ever made because it helped me rediscover my love for gaming. Stay tuned for the end of the video if you want to see a wheel randomly decide which game I'm going to platinum next. Without further ado, let's jump back 5 years and see where my trophy hunting journey began. First game that we have on the trophy list is Spider-Man Miles Morales. This game was included with my PlayStation 5 bundle. From the outside looking in, I just couldn't resist. I needed to jump into this game immediately. The web swinging is chef's kiss. It's perfect. Makes using fast travel almost completely unnecessary. I don't even think I used it once in either of my playthroughs of the Spider-Man games. Combat is phenomenal also. The enemies are pretty diverse. The boss battles are fun too. I think a 3 out of 10 is appropriate from the guide. I would give it the same. 45% of PlayStation profile users have the game unlocked, which makes sense. Everyone's going to get to this at some point. 5.5% of all PlayStation users have it. I think Insomniac knocked these games out of the park. I don't know if a developer could have done much better with these. I do not have Spider-Man 2 on this profile, just to let you know, but I do have more from Insomniac coming. The one thing I would say that really holds back the Spider-Man games is I'm not really sure why they elected to add walking missions where you're just stripped of your Spider-Man powers completely to the game. Somebody greenlit this not once, but also again in Miles Morales. It really was a change of pace that was not welcome. It's like taking heroin away from a drug addict. I guess to flesh out the narrative, that's what they decided to go with. But on another note, I would say the narrative in either of these games isn't tremendous. It's not awful. Felt a little unextraordinary. Other than that, I love these games. The trophy that is the least common is the New Game Plus trophy, which I'm sure is just because most people are like, yeah, you know, I had enough with one playthrough. I don't want to go through it again. Here's the information for my second platinum trophy from Spider-Man Remastered. Originally came out on the PS4, of course. Was one of the main reasons that I decided to pick up a PS5 in the first place, was having serious FOMO. Just so you know, if there are any games with DLC on my trophy list, I'll be going for the PlayStation profile percentage for the total DLC completion. As you can see for this one, it's almost 21% of all of the DLC, which is remarkable. It just really shows how much people love this game and couldn't get enough, myself included. Banged out all the DLC, no problem. As you can see, I hit almost 50 hours, so I think that puts me at exactly 80 hours between the two games. Obviously there's difficulty options for this game, so it's going to scale down the difficulty rating. I think I played on normal and it was a breeze. Looking at the trophy list in greater detail for this game, you can see too that the lowest trophy percentage, actually 22%, really high. Just visiting Uncle Ben's grave. Really enjoyed getting to know how the Peter Parker story develops in this universe, and yeah, we'll be moving on to number 3. Number 3 on the list comes courtesy of Remedy Entertainment, Control Ultimate Edition, originally on PS4 I believe also, and they made a PS5 version. This game is so much fun. Unbelievably gripping too. The narrative is thrilling and it's pretty eerie. I think it's in line with how the Alan Wake games present themselves as well. I had a great time playing as the main character, Jesse Faden, in this third-person shooter. The goosebumps that you get from this game are real. You will feel chills. About 30 hours with the DLC for me. One thing I will differ with from what the guide says in this game is that it's a 4 out of 10 difficulty. I think there's something that they added, maybe it's just in the Ultimate Edition, where you basically become invincible and nothing can kill you. Still a difficult game at times. Some of the bosses are a little challenging. Really fun game. Would absolutely recommend it to anyone. Give it a try if you haven't already. I don't think any of the trophies really stood out as more or less difficult for me either. I don't even remember really what the countermeasures were, but I guess maybe this is a little bit of a tedious trophy. Yeah, overall, nothing impossible in this game for sure. Platinum number 4 on the list is Sackboy, A Big Adventure from Sumo Digital. First platformer on the trophy list. This game is tougher than it seems from the outside. Under 10% is appropriate on PlayStation profiles, but what really shocked me was the 0.4% on PlayStation Network. That's really low. Took me over 40 hours. 5 out of 10 is definitely appropriate. It can be tough, and I'll kind of explain why. And that's because of the String It Together trophy. The Knitted Knights Ultimate Trial is basically a 10-minute long platforming section, and it's by far the hardest thing you have to do in the entire game. I remember spending at least a few hours just alone on this. I'm sure it was a hurdle that was too much for a lot of people. On the positive side, this game is Absolutely phenomenal. Great party game to just pick up and play on the couch with your friends. I love Sackboy. He's so damn cute. Would love a sequel to this game. Okay, the first game on the list that doesn't have a platinum is Absu from Giant Squid. Super simple game where you just play as a diver, swim around and get collectibles. I do love indies. There'll be plenty more indies to come on this list. Wanted to highlight Absu. I think it's great. Want to get into the path list from Giant Squid also eventually. One thing that is a big topic of conversation with trophy collectors is why do some games not have platinum trophies? I really don't understand why that is. I know this trophy list is super simple, but still there's even more simplistic games on this list where you do get a platinum for them. Looking at the trophy list, the hardest thing is to just find all the shells, which are the collectibles in the game. Number 5 on the list is Persona 5 from Atlas and P Studio. I think this is the first game on the trophy list that was part of the old PlayStation Plus catalog. I absolutely adore Persona now, and it's really thanks to this game. Dumped nearly 200 hours into it. Those who jump into Persona 5 get addicted, like hardcore addicted, as I did myself. Where I differ strongly is the guide says this is a 3 out of 10. I don't believe that for a single second. Unless you are following a day-to-day guide for Persona 5, you can screw up super easily. Even following the guide I did, I think I lost 20 hours of gameplay. Just had to go back to one of my older save files to correct my mistake. As far as JRPGs go, I think this game is outstanding. I grew up playing Pokemon, so when I jumped into this, I was like, oh, this is just Pokemon with even a better narrative. This is great. The highlight of this game for me also is the music. It's just banger after banger. You will constantly find yourself singing along. More to come from the Persona series later on the list. Looking at the trophy list, the hardest thing by far and the most time consuming is completing the compendium because it requires a full second playthrough to unlock the final Persona that you need to complete the compendium, as I said. I know now also that if you play Persona 5 Royal, it only requires one playthrough. I wish I knew that going into this. Still was happy to play the original version of Persona 5. I'd love to jump back into Persona 5. Number 6 on my list is a Demolition Derby style game from Bugbear Entertainment called Wreckfest. I don't really have too much to say about it. I'm just really into driving games for the most part. I've loved Mario Kart as long as I can remember, so I think that's where my infantilization with driving games really started. I think this might be a dead platinum now also, unless they still have the servers up, because I know there's some multiplayer trophies that you need for this list. I was right, you do need to win 20 events of multiplayer. I think that's what held me up the most towards the platinum. Also, I noticed that you need to drive an hour on the lawnmower, and I do remember the lawnmower being the slowest vehicle in the game. I probably put myself in a lawnmower and then turned my monitor off and just went out for a walk or something. Number 7 on the list is a remake of a gaming classic, Crash Bandicoot from Vicarious Visions. I was somewhat familiar with the Crash Bandicoot franchise growing up. I played Crash Bandicoot on the Game Boy and Crash Bandicoot Nitro Kart on the GameCube, I believe. It's a difficult platformer, to say the least. Not the hardest, but it is tough. The game definitely challenged my patience. As you can see, it took me 3 months to get the platinum. Obviously, the hardest part of Crash Bandicoot, as most people know, is getting all of the relics. Some of these levels are just not designed for time trials. They are way too difficult. Eventually, you'll get the muscle memory down if you stick with it, and popping the platinum is not unattainable, but it will make you want to pull your hair out at times. Number 8 on my list is the remake of another gaming classic, Final Fantasy VII from Square Enix. I really didn't know much about Final Fantasy. This is the first time I've ever played any Final Fantasy game at all. Gameplay, loved it. Was addicted to it from the jump. There's so much diversity in terms of what you can do as well with the different characters and the different weapons, different materials as well. This game is polarizing for me because I think the narrative is really interesting and great and has a lot of relevant symbolisms to real life. However, the dialogue at times is so cheesy and unbelievably cringe. It's just a very perplexing dichotomy. 2.7% on PSN is really high given the number of hours it needs to beat this game. I wouldn't agree with the guide saying it's a 5 out of 10. I would give it a 6 just because having to go through again and beat the game on hard difficulty, as well as some of the bosses that you need to fight, it can be a challenge. I had to look up some guides as to how you beat certain bosses, even split for the rare trophies in terms of what was the hardest to achieve. The Pride and Joy prototype and Marlboro, those were tough. Marlboro not as much as the Pride and Joy prototype. Overall, I would really say I had a great time with the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I wish I got into Rebirth. Sadly, I haven't yet. Eventually, I will. Fun number 9 on my list is from Electronic Arts Dice, and that is Battlefield 5. I'd never played any of the Battlefield games before. PS4. However, when I was on the dark side, aka Xbox, I did play both the Battlefront and Battlefront 2 remakes of the original Star Wars Battlefront games. Wanted this game to be my initial first-person shooter title for the PlayStation 5 list. I had a good time with it, about 40 hours to get the platinum. The only thing I would disagree with this game is it being a 3 out of 10. The game does require you to beat the campaign on the hardest difficulty. I would bump it up to a 4 just for that reason. As you can see, the most difficult trophies to get are all the campaign related trophies. Most of the time I was just running around hoping I didn't die, and that usually was a tried and true method to getting it done, but obviously there's some parts where you do have to shoot. A long range rifle is what got me through most of it, so I think if you find a good one, then just hold on to that as long as you can. Jumping into double digits with number 10 is another game from Insomniac, Ratchet and Clank, a reboot of the classic franchise. I have nothing but positive feelings about this game. I think it's a really fun and easy kickback type of game where you can just prop your feet up and just have a good time with it. However, saying that, I don't know if there's anything that really stands out about it. The gameplay is fun. The narrative was kind of forgetful for me. I would say the guide doesn't even have it right with 3 out of 10. I would say it's closer to a 2. There's really nothing difficult about it. I think almost anyone could get this platinum if they really wanted to. One thing I will give Insomniac credit for is this studio just pumps out games. They just keep making game after game. I don't know how they do it. I hope they're not just crunching their devs into death. Hardest thing for sure is using the Groovatron on every enemy. It can be a little tedious figuring out which enemies you did not use the Groovatron on. Number 11 on the list is a game from Respawn Entertainment, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, where you play as Cal Kestis, a Padawan developing into a Jedi. I have mixed feelings about this game. I'm a big time Star Wars fanboy, love me some Star Wars, can't get enough of it. What some of the issues I had with the game were, first of all, I don't know if it was just a me issue. The audio desynced for every single cutscene after a certain point, and I just don't know if it's because the load times on PS5 were faster, so visuals were ahead of the audio most of the time. The map system in this game is awful. It's just awful. It's so hard to find your way around, and on top of that, they decided to add a trophy for finding every single location on the map, and some of them are just tucked away in little pockets that you could never see with your own eye. You just have to stumble upon the place for it to pop. The narrative didn't really grip me either. I think the most exciting thing about Cal Kestis is his orange hair. Spoiler alert, the most exciting part is Darth Vader appears at the end. Ooh, wow, never saw that coming. To validate my complaint, the Hall Maps is one of the tougher trophies in the game. I'm guessing the defeating 25 enemies while under the effect of empowered slow is just something that a lot of people weren't doing, but was pretty easy. I have not played the sequel to this game, Survivors, so I don't know if they've made any vast improvements. I'd be happy to check it out someday, but this game just left a sour taste in my mouth. I really just tried to grind it out as quickly as I could and move on to the next game. Okay, before you freak out and type in the comments, Michael, you didn't actually complete every trophy on your trophy list. Look, you didn't get 100% in Fall Guys. I don't know what the developers really decided to do with this, but just one day when I tried to open up Fall Guys, it said you need to download a new PS4 player, and I said okay, and then this trophy list just froze. This is one of the only 2 times that I've removed a game from my list. I think it's for a valid reason, because I did get the Fall Guys platinum eventually, as I'll touch on later in the video. There's just nothing I could do. I'm not gonna let this impact my 100% profile, and if you have a problem with it, you got a problem with it. No big deal. I don't. Jumping back into the trophy list with number 12 is Ghost of Tsushima from Sucker Punch. This is one of my few auto pops on this list as well, because I actually played the PS4 version and then went back and did the DLC for the PS4 at a later time. I cannot say enough good things about this game. This game fires on all cylinders. It is phenomenal. I don't mean that lightly too. It is a near perfect game. I was hooked from the instant I jumped into it. The narrative is amazing. The dialogue is great. The gameplay is so well fleshed out, so diverse in what you could do. If you want to go in sneaky, you can. If you want to just go in loud and proud, you absolutely can too. If you want to walk into an enemy encampment and just challenge the biggest dude you can find to a duel and then just slash him in one hit, and then 4 of his remaining brothers after that, you absolutely could do that as well. It's just awesome. And the visuals, oh, even for the PS4 version, it was beautiful. And then with the PS5 enhancement, this is stunning at times. This is just gorgeous. Sucker Punch, absolute home run with this. Cannot wait for Ghost of Yotei. I think it's going to be a great sequel. Touching back on the auto pop for this game too, I'm not a person that really would do auto pops a ton. The only reason I ever do them is because there's a PS5 upgrade of the game that I've already played. That way I can go do the DLC on the PS5 version with the enhanced visuals. Honestly, I don't remember any of these these trophies being difficult. In fact, I remember spending more time in the multiplayer version of the game, kind of struggling for those trophies because you need to grind for a few of them. The multiplayer too, I didn't even touch on that, is also a ton of fun. I think there was rumors that they were going to make a standalone multiplayer game for Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know if they're still doing that, but take my money either way. It's just so much fun. Number 12 on my list is also a game that I initially platinumed pretty early on, but just kept getting bumped up my trophy list because of DLC that they would add, and that's Dart 5 from Codemasters. While it is a game that looks pretty good, in the end, I don't know if it was a game that was fantastic. It's okay for a driving game. I'd say it's a little bit better than Wreckfest. Still, it felt like it was just a grind at times. Like, it took me almost 50 hours to complete this game. I think this is a platinum that's easily still obtainable because you don't really need to play online to unlock this 1,000-mile trophy. However, it was easier for me to get it because I was playing some online races for fun to get to the 1,000-mile mark. But yeah, nothing too difficult with this list at all. Another game on my list that doesn't have a platinum is Respawn's Apex Legends. I've been playing Apex since before I ever had a PlayStation 5. Pretty easy for me to get the 100% in this game. I didn't touch on this with Abzu, but how I'll be going about the percentage for PlayStation Network is I'll just be looking at what the most rare trophy is and taking the percentage for that. And in this game, it's just getting a win with 8 different legends. I think there's skill-based matchmaking for Apex Legends, so if you are not the greatest at first-person shooters, then this still won't even be that difficult for you. I think it's probably the best battle royale game. Other people would argue Fortnite or maybe something else, but still, Apex Legends will always have a nice place in my heart. I think it's a really fun time. Looking at the trophy list, like I said, it's just getting a win with 8 different legends and putting 5k damage with 8 different legends as well, which shouldn't take you an impossible amount of time. Maybe even reaching player level 50 is a little tougher than that, just because you got to play for a decent amount of time. If you're spreading out that time over those 8 different legends, then it shouldn't be too impossible. Back to the platinum list with number 14. It's a game called Detroit Become Human from Quantic Dream, a narrative-driven game with a lot of QTEs. Just to summarize, fantastic game, annoying platinum. You're probably looking at it like, how the hell did you spend 40 hours in this game? And it's because I kept making mistakes that would prevent me from getting trophies. After maybe 2 or 3 different playthroughs where I got absolutely no trophies, I finally nailed that one that got me the platinum. Just for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 10, even though the guide says 3. It probably is a 3, and I'm just dumb. If you're wondering what the trophy was that I kept stumbling up on, it's the I'll be back trophy, where Connor dies and then returns at every opportunity. I don't know what exact reason it was that kept making me miss this trophy. Eventually, I got it and popped the platinum. It is with great sadness that I present to you platinum number 15, FIFA 22 from Electronic Farts Canada. I was under the FIFA/EA Sports FC curse for a while, and it's because I've been playing the game from such a young age. I think I had FIFA 7 or 8. This is nearly 20 years in the making of me being a FIFA addict. Sports games just suck for platinums. You're not gonna have a good time unless you absolutely love the game. As you can see, I dumped nearly 1,000 hours into FIFA 22. Do not trust any game developed by these idiots, okay? All they care about is their gacha gambling system where they make billions of dollars off people buying FIFA points or whatever the currency is across their games. I give it a 4 out of 10 just because you have to be pretty good at FIFA in order to actually get the platinum. This platinum is for sure dead now also. You can't go back and get the club's trophies anymore because every year they shut down the servers for those. There is a bit of a grind. I think this was in whatever their FIFA Street mode is they call now, getting 50 vanity items. Like, you just need so much currency. Yeah, it took me a while to get this. Hopping back into the Crash Bandicoot series, it's the second game from Vicarious Visions, known as Cortex Strikes Back. This is really just a continuation of the first platinum that I mentioned for Crash Bandicoot. I think this game was slightly easier than the first one. Not like it's a walk in the park by any means. It just took me a long time to get this platinum because I just felt overwhelmed by the idea of doing all 3 of the games. Once I popped this one, I found momentum again with Crash Bandicoot and really wanted to cap off the trilogy. Hardest thing is getting the relics. Time trials, they suck. You gotta do them to get the platinum. What's a phrase that means the opposite of so nice did it twice? Because that's how I described doing the PS4 version of FIFA 22. For those who don't know, FIFA 22 was the first next-gen console edition, so there was a lot of discourse around whether the PS4 version was actually better for online gameplay, and I accidentally popped a trophy when I was trying to figure that out. That's why I had to do it again. Another 100 hours down the drain. That's platinum number 17. Number 18 on my list is one of my favorite games, not in terms of gameplay, but just because it makes me feel a strong sense of nostalgia, and that is SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Not remastered, not remake, Rehydrated from Handy Games. I was so happy to see this pop up as one of the free monthly games. I moved at the speed of light to try to get this game platinum. I'd even give the game a 2 out of 10 instead of a 3 because I really don't think there was anything tough with it. The only thing tedious is getting all the collectibles, but for me that was nothing. I just was happy to enjoy Bikini Bottom and hang out with SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, and all of the other wonderful characters that Steven Hillenburg, RIP, created. This show was an absolute staple for my childhood. I was always tuned into Nickelodeon to see if SpongeBob was on. Those were the good days. Toughest trophies to grab are just all the ones for the collectibles. Nothing hard about this game whatsoever. Rounding out the trilogy with the 19th platinum is Crash Bandicoot Warped from Vicarious Visions, of course. While this game is the easiest of the 3, I still wouldn't give it a 4 out of 10 like the guide says. I'd say a 5 is about fair for it. Once I popped the platinum for the second game, gained a lot of momentum with wanting to complete the trilogy and was able to do this in about a week and a half. Like the other two, toughest part of the game is getting all of the relics for the time trials. And I'm sure you're wondering, well, Michael, did you get to Crash Bandicoot 4? I own it, but I know that is the most difficult of the 4 games. It's a really daunting challenge. Maybe one day I'll get to it to complete all 4 of the games, but I'm not really in any rush, so one day is what I'll say. Number 20 is a return to JRPGs in the Persona universe with Persona 5 Strikers from Atlas and P Studio again. I'll be honest, I booted this game up. I thought it was going to be turn-based combat again, so to my surprise, it was a hack and slash style. I think for a hack and slash game, it's pretty fun. Not as great as FF7 Remake, obviously. It's still a good time and the music is banging again, so hard to not have fun with it. It is a little bit of a grind too, as it took me over 60 hours to complete, and that is because there was one trophy specifically that really held me up, and that is the Eternal Bonds trophy for maxing out all bond skill levels. The game does not give you enough XP towards the bond skill levels just through a normal playthrough, so it's either you have to play 75% of the way through a second playthrough, or what you can do, which is what I did, rub a statue over and over and over again as it slowly ticks your little bond skill level bar up a modicum of the way until I think I got to about level 95 and just said, you know what, if I get it through this playthrough, great. If I don't, whatever. Luckily for me, it was about what I needed to get it to level 99 to max out all the bond skill levels. Very, very tedious trophy. Number 21 on my list is Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl from Ludosity. It's from the same vein as a Super Smash Bros. Style of game where just a 2D fight your friends type of game. It was fun for a minute. I didn't really tap into it too much, just really got the platinum, which was quick and easy. I think this is a dead platinum also because I'm guessing the servers are completely shut down for it. I think there's actually a sequel for this game as well. Like I said previously with SpongeBob, tapping into my nostalgia here, so I had a pretty good time with it. Looking at the trophy list, makes sense. The rarest trophy is the 50 online matches. I'm pretty sure what I did was just run off the edge to get the 50 as quick as possible. It was funny because a lot of people were doing the same thing, so we were just racing to see who could kill themselves first, basically, in a video game. Maybe you'd have some difficulty with the level 9 CPUs, but level 9 CPUs were nothing tough at all. Number 22 is just the PS4 version of Ghost of Tsushima. I touched on this enough as it was on the trophy list already. Sucker Punch, home run, love it. Not a lot of people went back, I guess, and did the 100% on PS4, but I did because I'm a freak. 116 hours too for everything. A lot longer than I thought. Did not feel like over 100 hours at all. Number 23 on the trophy list marks the overhaul of the PlayStation Plus system into different tiers. I like to go with the extra tier, which unlocked a complete library of new games to me. One of the first ones I tapped into was Death Stranding Director's Cut from Kojima Productions. I never played any of the Metal Gear games. I was really not familiar with Kojima's work, but let me tell you, this game made me a fan for life. I don't even know where to begin with Death Stranding. I'm comfortable with saying that between Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2, it is the best narrative in any video game series. I don't really think it's close. It's so powerful and meaningful from beginning to end. The first time I played through Death Stranding Director's Cut, the ending I think actually brought me to tears because it hit so hard for me after COVID. I just couldn't control my emotions. In terms of gameplay, I know this game is super polarizing. A lot of people are like, oh, walking simulator, oh great. Well, I can understand that. I do think there's a lot more to the gameplay. I think it is a little slow at the beginning, but after about 10 hours, you really get to see what the game's all about. You unlock the vehicles, you start building the road. For me, 89 hours went by like that. It really moved me. I think it was one of those games that will always stick with me. Norman Reedus does a great job as the protagonist, Sam Porter, and there's so many other wonderful performances. Mads Mikkelsen stands out for sure. Lea Seydoux was great. Looking at the trophy list, I actually thought the trophy for getting the maximum connection with all the facilities would be the most rare. I guess it's actually fabricating all of the equipment. There is a lot of things to build in the game, and I think this trophy is actually tucked behind getting all the memory chips, or one memory chip in particular. Love this game. More to come from Death Stranding on the list. Scratching its way into number 24 is a wonderful indie game from Blue 12 Studio known as Stray. You get to play as a cat and just go on a great adventure. What more could you want? It's just a fun platformer, very linear game too. Has a great post-apocalyptic type story with robots and other fun things. Super vibrant as well. The visuals are great. Can't say enough good things about this game. Would love a sequel. I think the only trophy that could prevent you from getting the platinum here is beating the game in under 2 hours. Timed it when I did the speed run, crushed it in under like an hour 40. So it's really not even that strenuous to try to get the game done in under 2 hours. It's a 2 playthrough game for sure, but the second playthrough being about an hour 30, hour 45 minutes, it really doesn't feel like an extra burden at all.
And this game actually inspired me to get my own little guy. If you will chill for a second. This is Kiefer. He's the love of my life. Would you look at the camera, or is that too much to ask? Say hi, bud. He kind of hates being held, but I picked him up from a nap, so at least I got him in a sleepy time. Okay, he's out. Number 25 on my list is keeping in the same form of absolutely stellar games with Housemarque's Returnal, a roguelite third-person shooter that was breathtaking. I only have good things to say about this game. Unbelievable experience. Even though it's been a few years now, I remember vividly sitting in my room with the windows open because this game made me sweat. It's so immersive. This was the first game too where I really felt like the haptic feedback on the controller was absolutely amplifying the gameplay. It's in the same vein of Control. It just takes everything to another level. It's just stunning. The music, the visuals, the gameplay, the narrative, it all is electric. If you don't love this game, I'm not sure you really love gaming. Housemarque was not a studio that I really was familiar with before Returnal, but they're on the map for me now. I will be playing everything that they release going forward. I might butcher the pronunciation here, but I'm really looking forward to Saros with Raul Kalios, the protagonist. I just can't wait to see what kind of developments they make from Returnal. I'm going to sink my teeth into this game so hard. In terms of difficulty, I wouldn't say it's an impossible game. A lot of people were saying it's a roguelike, but it's actually a roguelite because you do get weapon progression as you continue through the game. Some of the weapons that you get are so much fun to use. As you continue to level up, some of the weapons, they just melt enemies and make the game even easier. I think a 6 out of 10 is fair. The one thing I will say about getting the platinum for this game is trying to complete the surveys is really tedious. Each of the worlds that you continue through, whether it's, you know, the Crimson Waste or the Abyssal Scar, Derelict Citadel, etc., the map that you load into each time is completely random, so you have to continuously try again to get the map that you're missing in order to complete the survey. But to end on a positive note, the DLC for this game is so much fun. It's basically an endless mode. I would absolutely recommend it. So much fun. Very excited for the sequel. Number 26 on my list is another JRPG from Ryu Ga Gotoku Studios, and that is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I never played any of the Yakuza games before. I think almost everyone is familiar with Yakuza for one reason or another. I think the main reason being how goofy this game can be. I mean that in an absolutely positive way because it is hilarious at times. I was excited to jump into this for that reason, never having played a Yakuza game, and because it was turn-based combat. I'm not sure that's something they normally do, and they did great. I think for a turn-based combat game, it's really good. Up there at the same level as Persona, honestly, in terms of gameplay. However, I think where this game lacks a little bit is the narrative. While Ichiban Kasuga is a really fun and inviting protagonist, after about 70 hours into the story, you start to feel it's dragging its feet and overstaying its welcome. 130 hours, especially the final 30 hours, I felt the weight of it. Overall, a really good experience. Eventually, I'd love to jump back into Yakuza. Looking at the trophy list, the hardest thing that you have to do by far is in the end game, the true final Millennium Tower, which is way harder than anything else you have to do in the game. You actually need to time your parries on attacks in order to get through this. If you don't have a strategy for the end, you will just die. I would absolutely recommend, if you're going to take on this platinum, to look up a video on how you do the Millennium Tower, because it can be tough at times. Number 27 on my list is a cartoon icon with South Park, The Stick of Truth. I think most of us will be familiar with South Park, whether you watch the show or you heard about the games. Turn-based combat game from Obsidian. It's a good time, had some laughs, nothing special really about it. When it comes to Trey Parker and Matt Stone, you really have no idea what kind of outlandish things they're going to come up with, and are not afraid to critique just about anything. I wouldn't recommend any children to play this game whatsoever. Nothing too difficult here. Most of the tough parts are just collectible grinds that's going to extend a few hours into the game, but nothing too impossible. I was considering maybe a 3 out of 10 for this, but I'll just stick with what the guide says with a 4. Number 28 on the list is a game that I absolutely regret doing. Need for Speed Heat from Ghost Games. Not really familiar with this developer. I wish I had looked into this game a little more before I started it, but the nostalgia I had as a kid from playing Need for Speed drew me into this game. Definitely worse than the other driving games that I have on the profile already. 45 hours it took me to get this one. I'll explain why it really took that long, and it's because of this trophy right here. Get all collectibles and 3 stars on all activities. If you didn't know, this game is open world. Don't know why it needs to be open world at all, but I guess it's just because they could throw this trophy at us. The game just felt lazy. I mean, you can even see from the trophy icons, they didn't even do them. They just threw one and we're like, okay, we're good, we're done. Crazy. Don't play this game. Here's the second game on my trophy list that I just removed, and I'll go into detail as to why that is, but it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 from Infinity Ward. At the time, it seemed like a good idea. I got the platinum, moved on with it, put about 60 plus hours into it. It was actually pretty tough too. Some of the single player missions were not easy to get the trophies for. Once I popped it, put it to bed, didn't think much of it. One day, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 popped up on the trophy list, and I was like, huh? Is this for real? And I was just thinking to myself, I'm not gonna do this. And I'm glad I didn't, because a year later, Black Ops 6 pops up on the trophy list. Oh, they're just stupid. I don't know why they elected to do this. I have 101 platinums technically. I'm not including this as a platinum, so you haven't been clickbaited. I really do have 100 platinums. I'm never gonna go through these trophy lists, do 2 extra games for no additional platinums. That's ludicrous. I'm never gonna do that. I just wiped this from my trophy list. I think it's insane from a trophy hunting perspective. Back to the platinums, number 29 from Arcane Studios. It's Deathloop, a first-person narrative shooter style game. I think when the game came out, I heard some mixed reviews with it, but once I jumped on it myself, I was like, oh wow, this is a lot more fun than I was expecting. The gameplay is really well polished and allows you to do a lot of quick and exciting movements. The narrative is pretty fleshed out as well, with a little twist at the end that I wasn't expecting. In terms of difficulty, I think a 4 is fair. I was almost considering even a 5, because there are some trophies on this list that require you to do a lot, and if you mess up at any point, you have to completely reset your run. I don't think there's any game with a gameplay cycle that is similar to this. For that reason, the uniqueness of this game really puts it on another level for me. Looking at the trophy list, you can see that some of these are at a pretty low percentage. Like, they stay at a low mark for quite a bit. They require you to do a lot, actually. I think the trophy list is honestly an A+ in terms of continuing to get the gamer to play through. I think Deathloop is great. Would highly recommend. Number 30 is where you're gonna start to see a lot of indie games roll in, and the first one here is I Am Dead from Hollow Pawns. This is a really cute game with a beautiful, vibrant art style. Not much gameplay going on. It's really just more of a narrative-based game. It was a quick one-time sit-down game for me, so for that reason, I think you should just give it a try, see what you think. Looking at the trophy list, you can see nothing really popping out, but what is standing out is the artwork. These trophy little icons look great. They did a wonderful job with these. Sticking with the indie games is number 31 on my list from Cohen Interactive, Deliver Us the Moon. Super easy. A nice narrative also, where you try to discover what happened to the moon station, and there's a few different surprises along the way.
I will say the gameplay is a little slow, but I mean, you're in low gravity, so that kind of makes sense. 6 hours, nothing too time consuming for this platinum. I'd recommend it if you want to check it out. I will say I have not played the sequel, Deliver Us Mars. Maybe eventually I'll get to it. Looking at the trophy list, nothing really standing out to me in terms of difficulty either. If you do jump into this game, you shouldn't have a hard time getting the platinum at all. Sticking with the theme of me really enjoying driving games is number 32 on my list, Hot Wheels Unleashed from the developer Milestone. Some of my earliest memories are driving Hot Wheels on any surface I could find as a kid. Really tapping into the nostalgia again, playing a Hot Wheels game here. Was surprised to see that the platinum is actually pretty rare for this. It's 6.87% on PlayStation profiles and 0.4% on PSNs. I think it's because there's a trophy that requires you to do a lot of grinding. I believe I ended up having to boost this with someone else that I met on a forum. The guide says it'll take you 40 hours to do, so unless my in-game timer is broken, I was able to do it in under 25, which is a little surprising because usually I'm not faster than the guide. Looking at the trophy list, I do remember getting 25k gears requires you a lot of extra grinding. Maybe if you want to tie it in with doing the DLC, it'll be a little easier for you. But yeah, you can see the date with this. It was way later than all the other trophies. Taking a step away from platinums here is Splitgate from 1047 Games. If you know about this trophy list, you're probably scratching your head right now saying, Michael, why on earth did you do this? It's because my friend kind of wrote me into playing it. I booted it up once, popped the trophy, and was like, oh, okay, I'll get the rest of them later, whatever. Yeah, 195 hours later and over a year is what it took me to get the 100%, not even for a platinum. I would say a 5 out of 10 is fair if you're gonna 100% it. It might even be dead now. 1047 Games thought it would be cute to call a trophy 1047 for winning 1,047 matches. While the games are pretty quick, you can do one in like 5 minutes at most. A lot of the lobbies are filled with bots too, because after a while they just couldn't get enough people in the server. If you don't have a teammate with you and you're facing another team with 2 people, odds are you're not gonna win unless they suck. This took so much time. The funniest part about this all, the trophy didn't even pop when I hit 1,047 wins. It popped at like 1,053. So I was sweating wondering, is this trophy glitched? Is this trophy glitched? Did I just spend 200 hours of my life trying to get this stupid trophy and it's not even gonna pop? Thankfully it did. Never playing this game again. Delete. Splitgate. Ugh. There's also only 296 people in the world that have 100%ed this game. So if you are one of those people, please let me know in the comments so I can give you a big virtual hug because you deserve it. Back to the platinums, number 33 on my list is Bugsnax from Young Horses. This game just wasn't for me, I'll be honest. I think I did it because Mystic Ryan was raving about it in one of his videos and said, just give it a try. And I did. Popped an early trophy. About 18 hours later, I said, wow, I wish I had 15 of those hours back because that was not great. Maybe this game is exciting for you, but it wasn't for me, and that's okay. Not every game is going to be for everyone. Giving another peek at the trophy list, I can't help but laugh at how goofy some of these names are with Grumpus and things of that nature. So some of these trophies actually were a little tougher than I remember them being. I don't want to talk about this game anymore, so moving on. Number 34 on my list is a multiplayer co-op game from Clever Play Studio, Operation Tango. Had a good time with Operation Tango. Did take me a while because I think they released the DLC much later on. I had to find somebody on a forum to play it with. I think we knocked it out pretty quick. Nothing too challenging, although I do recall having to look up a few parts through a guide, so I don't think a 2 out of 10 is appropriate. I'd bump it up to a 3. The tedious part with this game too is that you have to play through it twice. You have to beat all of the missions with both of the characters, so that can be a little time consuming. Number 35 on my list is a remake of another iconic game series, and that's God of War from SIE Santa Monica Studios. At first, I'll be honest, this game didn't click for me. I put it down, came back about a year and 6 months later. I think when I first jumped into it, I was playing a lot of different open world games, so I was just a little saturated by how many there were available to me at the time. I'm glad I came back to it because the gameplay in this is phenomenal. The scaling that you get to keeps you captivated throughout the entire playthrough. It felt like I was still unlocking things at the very end that just made Kratos even more and more powerful. I think the narrative is pretty strong too about the relationship between a father and his sons. I had a good time with it. I have not jumped into God of War Ragnarok yet, but I will say that that game is on the wheel at the end of this video, so very good chance that I will be playing that in the very near future. In terms of difficulty too, I think I played it on normal or wherever the mid-tier difficulty was. I think a 4 out of 10 is fair because the final Valkyrie was destroying me. I can't imagine it's that much easier on the lowest tier difficulty, and if you can't beat her, you're not going to get the platinum. Glancing at the trophy list, looks like a few of the trophies for the collectibles were actually the most rare, but as you can see towards the end, the Trials of Muspelheim and Defeat
defeating the 9 Valkyries was definitely the tougher parts of the game. Platinum number 36 is from Super Brothers AV, a lesser known indie game called Jet the Far Shore. It's very interesting in terms of gameplay. It's like a top-down isometric style game where you just fly around in a little spaceship and explore a new planet. The art style for the characters is all 2D while the world is 3D. It's kind of peculiar. The narrative didn't really grip me too tightly, but the gameplay was fun. Some of the trophies are actually a little difficult to pop. I'd say maybe a 3, even a 4 out of 10. There is no guide for this game. You kind of just got to figure things out on your own, or maybe hope that there's a YouTube video for whatever you need. I do remember this gold trophy specifically being kind of difficult, where you have to glide about 47 meters above the surface. You need some crazy technique with the ship because normally it just hovers right above the ground. You kind of have to launch yourself off the mountain and just hope that you remain above the 47-meter threshold until you pop the trophy. Number 37 is another indie game from the voxel agent known as The Gardens Between. A pretty quick and easy puzzle game. Shouldn't cause you any trouble at all in terms of popping the platinum. However, what I will say, this game will rip your heart out at the end. It actually made me pretty sad. I recommend a quick playthrough just to seeing what the narrative is going to do to your heartstrings at the end. Looking at the trophy list, nothing really stands out. Shouldn't be difficult at all for you to get this platinum. Number 37 comes to us from Hangar 13, and that is Mafia Definitive Edition. I never really played any of the Mafia games or the original one of this. When this popped up for free, I said, why not? Let's try it out. This game is rough at times. There are just a few sections of this game that on the hardest difficulty are really challenging to get over the hurdle for. Specifically when you're doing the racing mission and then another part where you have to take out vehicles with a mounted turret. For whatever reason, those two things are just more insane than everything else in the games. If you can get over those two parts, then you should get this platinum. Also, I'm not really sure how many hours I spent in this game because my counter just isn't showing up for whatever reason, but the guide says about 25 hours, and considering I beat it in about 2 days, I think that sounds about right. With the trophy list, it looks like, yeah, of course, collectibles are the more rare ones, getting some vehicles in your garage, 2% being the game on classic difficulty. This is the major hurdle for Mafia. Number 39 is Return to the Form of Indie Games with What Remains of Edith Finch from Giant Sparrow. I think a lot of people know about this game. It's got over 72% platinum rate on PlayStation profiles. If you don't know about this game, super simple and easy platinum. Narrative wasn't too great for me, but considering it's only 2 hours, easy to get through and get your platinum. As you can see with the trophy list, nothing really standing out here either, so let's move on. Number 40 is another game from Sucker Punch, Infamous Second Son. Again, like God of War, this game didn't really click for me at first. Came back after a year and a half to finish it off. Gameplay is fun. Narrative for me was kind of whatever. I think Sucker Punch really elevated their game with Ghost of Tsushima, because it feels like night and day compared to what they were capable of with that game versus Infamous Second Son. It's funny because I didn't even realize that you needed to beat this game on a high difficulty to get the platinum. I guess that means it was relatively easy regardless of it being expert difficulty. The more annoying part for me was having to play through it twice in order to get the morally righteous versus morally skewed trophies. Number 41 on my list is a game from Variable State, another indie known as Virginia. There's no dialogue, but there is an insane orchestral performance, so the music is clicking throughout, really keeps you invested. The story is interesting. I won't spoil it because you could easily sit down and do this in a few hours and it'll get you a platinum trophy, so would recommend you checking this out. The trophy list is pretty secretive too, as you can see from the descriptions. They really don't tell you a whole lot about what you're supposed to do. With the guide, you should be able to do this in a few hours, no problem. Number 42 is one of the most famous games of all time, and that is Until Dawn from Supermassive Games, another narrative-driven game called a QTEs. I was a little surprised to see the percentages on this game, especially the PlayStation profile percentage. 16% feels really low. I only bumped it up to a 3 because I get scared super easily. If you don't like jump scares, then maybe you won't be able to get this. The game isn't even that long to begin with. Was able to knock this out in a single day. This trophy list, you can tell, just collectibles, nothing really standing out here. Let's move forward. Number 43 is another indie from Beethoven and Dinosaur, The Artful Escape. Hear me out when I say this. Please play this game. Please play this game. Please play this game. Please play this game. It is extraordinary. It is so vibrant. You play as a little dude and he's got an electric guitar and you're just jamming out the entire time. Need I say more? The narrative is fun too. The characters are super wacky and goofy. There isn't a single trophy that you're gonna have a tough time with. The only element that maybe you might struggle with is this trophy is just landing on top of the archway. It's a single bit of platforming that you have to do for the entire platinum. Other than that,
Everything is very straightforward. Would highly recommend you trying this out. Number 44 is another indie game from 4 beautiful people whose names are Kitty Cows, Jan Willem Nijman, Jukio Kallio, and Dominic Johan, which is great because these 4 people did a fantastic job completing this baby styled roguelike black and white style game, and it's called Minute because you have a minute before you have to respawn and start your run over again. The entire game is pretty small. I bumped it up to a 3 out of 10 just because I'm not sure without a guide how easy it would be. It would probably be closer to a 4, maybe even a 5. Gave it a 3 just for that reason. Looking at the trophy list, there is a run crunch, so you do have to get this trophy in 25 runs or less, but with the guide I think there's a cushion of maybe even 3 or 4 runs. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. Number 45 on my list is from Blue Point Games, a remake of From Software's Demon Souls, which came out I think day 1 with PlayStation 5. For me, Souls-like / Soulsborne games have always been a bit daunting. I'm a little hesitant to get into them. However, I don't know if I would even consider this to be a Soulsborne game, having platinumed it, because A, it's not even made by FromSoft, and B, it was way easier than I thought it was going to be. So many of the bosses you can cheese using either magic or just some other gimmicks. As long as you're paying attention to your world tendency, this is a pretty straightforward platinum. I will say on a positive note, the game is a lot of fun. I had a tremendous time playing with it. The visuals are great. The music is really exciting and immersive. I would definitely be interested in playing another game like Elden Ring. Actually, I may even have Bloodborne on the wheel. Stick around to see if that's what I'm going to be playing next. I bumped it down to a 6 out of 10 because I don't think a 7 is appropriate. 7 was about Crash Bandicoot level, and I think 6 is where Returnal is at as well. So I'd say it's about even with Returnal in terms of difficulty. Peering into the trophy list, you can see the magic spells, the rings, and the miracles. All of this can be obtained with save scumming. I think that's probably why they're lower on the percentage completed than some of the other trophies. If you're okay with doing that, then you shouldn't have a problem with getting this platinum. Number 46 is a fairly well-known indie game from House. It's called Untitled Goose Game. Just so much fun. Just a great time. So goofy. You get to ruin people's day as a goose. The gameplay is super fun. I love the art style. As soon as this became available through PlayStation Extra, I was like, yep, I'm in. Let's do it. Get that platinum. There is a bit of a challenge, though, in trying to complete each of the areas within the time constraints. I will say, especially the last section, you do need to be speedy as the goose in order to get it. But once you get the idea of what you need to do in each of the areas, shouldn't be too much of a problem. Yep, like I said, all of the trophies that are the hardest to get are the time constraint ones. Be as quick as a goose as you can, and you'll get this platinum. Number 47 is us circling back to a game I mentioned already that was a little blemish on my profile, and that is Fall Guys from Mediatonic. I love platformers, so if you're gonna give me a BR style platformer, I'm all over it. And Fall Guys has executed that probably better than any other game has. The home screen music is ingrained into my brain. Just thinking about it, I know exactly what it sounds like. Nearly 200 hours to get this platinum, and that's between the 2 different PS4 slots for the Fall Guys game. The guide has this listed as a 10 out of a 10. I'm just gonna be completely transparent. I would say maybe it's even closer to a 7, but I'll put an 8 because the hardest trophy is winning 5 knockout rounds in a row. And if you do that legitimately, it's tough. Probably a 9 to be fair, if not a 10. I had many stretches too where I would win 4 games in a row, I'd lose the 5th game, win the 6th game, win even the 7th game. Is it just because in my mind I know, oh, this trophy's gonna pop for the platinum if I win this 5th game and I would just choke? Yeah, that would happen a lot of the time. One day Mediatonic just decided, oh, let's release a playlist where as long as you survive, it counts as a win. Within 5 minutes, I popped the trophy. I don't know if they should have made it that easy. I don't even know how long that game mode was available for, but I just said, okay, got my platinum, I'm out, see ya. I'm already upset about this game leaving a stain on my profile. Like I said, win 5 episodes in a row. 2.1% though, a little higher than I would have expected. Maybe the game mode where you can just pop easy wins is still available. Honestly, I was just happy to be done with this game. Number 48 is my second and final auto pop, and that is for Final Fantasy VII Remake. the DLC. Interestingly enough, the DLC is not available for the PS4 version, which I didn't realize until now. If you wanted to play the DLC and you already played the PS4 version of FF7 Remake, then you had to do an auto pop, so I feel even less guilty about it now. What I can say about the DLC is they had a really fun game mode. It's a board game style and you build like an army. I just remember really enjoying that. And there's a couple additional boss fights that are a bit of a challenge too, so I think a 5 out of 10 is appropriate. I can't remember exactly what the game is called, but it's this trophy for beating the Fort Condor Grandmaster. Had a fun time doing that. And then of course there's Weiss and defeating the Pride and Joy Mark V, which are a little challenging to say the least. Definitely had to look up some info on what the best strategy to beat these two were. I know I said not to trust EA developed games, but The Sims 4 is an exception. I had a great time with number 49 on my list from EA Maxis. What I can tell you about The Sims 4 Platinum, I don't know if I just got lucky or something, but the guide says it'll take you 30 hours, and I know this isn't a mistake. I did it in 8. There's a bunch of things that you can download that just making the Platinum super quick and easy. I don't know if the guy just wasn't aware that you can utilize that. The 0.2% on PlayStation Network, I assume, is because a lot of people are opening up The Sims but aren't really interested in trophy hunting, and it's a pretty popular game as well. But I'm surprised by the 5.6% on PlayStation profiles because it's not difficult at all. Even if you hold the 3 out of 10 the guide says to be true, I still would expect a higher percentage. I give it a 2 because for me, I just was like, wow, this was super easy. Looking at the trophy list, a bunch of these are stuck at 0.3% or 0.4 or around this range. I don't remember any of them really being that troublesome. I think this one actually, the listen to all radio station, watch all TV channels, because the Sims are finicky and they don't like to sit down for too long from what I was gathering. If you can't get them to do that, this might be a little tedious. Number 50 is another indie game from Mobius Digital. It is known as Outer Wilds. If you haven't heard of this game, I recommend you look into it because it is outstanding. It was unbelievable at times. It's unlike any other game you will play. You have 21 minutes, I believe, until whatever progress you made on that day is completely reset and you wake up in the same spot that you left off before. What's even more remarkable about this game is I just looked up at their website. They have an 11-person team. I know because I counted. You can see in their picture. There's only 11 of them. And I'm thinking at least 10 of them are astrophysicists because the game's space mechanics are so well fleshed out that I was like, I don't believe how good this is. I don't believe how they were able to replicate what I imagined in my stupid brain is real space physics. I haven't even gotten into the narrative yet because the narrative is like, you just got to play it for yourself. I wish I went into the game even more blind than I did, because with a guide, it still kind of doesn't spoil everything for you. But I really wish I just explored for the first 10 hours just to see what the hell is even going on here. And then maybe after around 5 to 10 hours, you're like, okay, I'm not really progressing. Let me see what's going on now. Then you can look into some stuff, because you can play this game for maybe 50 hours and not even scratch the surface. I have nothing but good things to say about Mobius Digital and what they were able to accomplish here with Outer Wilds. Highly recommend you try out this game. Just flying around the spaceship is a great time. I'll be honest, some of the trophies are really tough. Maybe even a 5 out of 10 instead of a 4 here. I don't think it was in the main game, but the DLC had a trophy where you have to like ride a wave after a dam breaks. That was so tough. It's phenomenal though. Can't stop gushing about this game. So good. Please check it out. Without spoiling too much of the game too, you do have to do almost everything in one loop. Like I said, the 20-minute period of time. The ship log is like a bunch of collectibles you have to do also. Of course, this one is the most rare because ride the wave for at least 15 seconds. You'd think 15 seconds is not a lot, but you have to position yourself perfectly on the raft to get yourself to withstand the force of the wave, or you're just gonna wipe out every single time. Absolutely tubular trophy. Play this game. Just check it out. Have fun. Go crazy. Can't wait for a sequel. Day 2 of recording, second half of the trophy list, and we're starting off with one I don't remember too fondly, and that is Kona from Parable. Can't really say too many good things about this game because the narrative is bleh. The gameplay is bleh. The graphics are also kind of bleh. This game is ultimately just a walking simulator because there's a trophy for never using a vehicle at all at any point in the game. That just makes the game a crawl because there's no sprint. point, so you're literally just walking. I would just say avoid this game. Don't want to hamper on it too much. As you can see with the trophy list, the most rare trophy is the one for completing the game without using a vehicle, because I'm sure most people who saw that were like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. Number 52 is a well-known franchise from Gearbox Software, and that is Borderlands 3. Borderlands 3 is all right. I'd never played any of the Borderlands games until this one. The gameplay is good. It's well polished. There's a lot of variability with the weapons that keeps you pretty entertained through the first 30 to 40 hours. However, there are so many DLC packs, and it's obvious that they just continuously drop off in terms of quality and enjoyment. 100%ing this was quite a grind. As you can see, almost 75 hours. The fortunate thing with this game is there is multiplayer, so you can jump in with one of your friends and try to bang these out, and that's exactly what I did, and it helped pass the time. The narrative in this game is so whatever. It's definitely hard to get through. You can see all the DLC packs, crazy amount. The trophy that really was the most time consuming is all the side missions, because there are just so many. Some of them are just tucked away and impossible to find. Popping this platinum wasn't easy, let alone getting the 100%. From one of the most grindy platinums to one of the quickest ones, it's Telling Lies from Furious B at number 53. This is a quick and easy narrative game where you're just kind of scanning through videos to piece together a narrative. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention to that at all. The more exciting part for me was that you get to play some solitaire. For that reason, I bumped it up to a 2, because maybe if you don't know how to play solitaire, this will be tough for you. That's the hardest part of the game. The rest of the trophies are super easy to pop. Here's the trophy for the solitaire, and then I guess completing the whole data set is the most rare, because maybe people got bored. At number 54 on my trophy list is another game from Sumo Digital, one of the predecessors to Sackboy, and that is Little Big Planet 3. This is one of my platinums that I think I cherish the most, because it is extremely rare. I saw this game pop up in the PlayStation Extra list of games that you could play. I really didn't know how strenuous this platinum was going to be. I didn't even realize there was DLC initially. This game has a few multiplayer trophies, and the servers were garbage. On top of that, my save file corrupted, I think twice. You have to ace all the levels, meaning you have to beat them without dying at any point. It's just a really tough platinum. As you can see by the percentages, less than 0.5% for the DLC completed. I'm pretty sure this is dead now too. I think they actually axed the servers, so you can't even get this anymore if you wanted to. This hangs proudly on my list. I really love Little Big Planet. I love Sackboy. I'm lucky I squeaked this one out. It's like acing all the adventure levels was one of the hardest one, which means doing them without dying. I don't remember exactly what all the quests were, but I'm guessing some of the quests involved you playing online. Actually, not just online with one other person, but you needed 3 other people. I could see why this would be the most rare trophy. Number 55 on my list is a game from Antab Studio. It's known as Foreclosed. If you're not familiar with this game, it's a third-person shooter in a cyberpunk-oriented world with comic book art style. It's a lot of fun, actually. I don't really remember much about the narrative because the gameplay was way more captivating. What I do remember is that I had to play this game twice because I missed one of the hidden signals. That meant I missed the secret ending, so I had to go all the way back to the beginning. That wasn't fun. Other than that, it's a good time. The guy doesn't have a difficulty rating, so I gave it a 3 out of 10. It may even be a 2. I don't remember anything difficult about this other than my own stupidity. I don't like the way this looks on the list, because why does it say base game trophy set after? Why can't it just say foreclosed and that be it? Like I said, the trophy that is the most rare here is the one for unlocking the secret ending by finding all the hidden signals. Nothing else too difficult. At number 56 on my list is the first ever game from Ember Lab, and that is Kena Bridge of Spirits, a wonderful indie game. It's just great from top to bottom. The visuals, the narrative, the gameplay is actually way better than I was expecting also. Kena is a really charming and just fun protagonist to get to know. The Rot, which are the little black creatures in the game, are so cute, and you gotta keep collecting more and more in them as the game progresses. One of the trophies is to actually beat the game on the hardest difficulty. The guy gave this a 7 out of 10, but I honestly didn't find it to be too extraneous or difficult. I gave it a 6 just for that reason. Highly recommend. One of the best indies you'll find. This is so impressive with it being their first ever game that I was just really blown away, and can't wait to see what they do next. The most rare trophy is the one for beating the game on master difficulty. I really didn't think it was that tough, like I said, so if you want to check this out, even just playing on one of the lower difficulties, would recommend for sure. From a quick indie game to one of the biggest AAA games in modern history, and that is Red Dead Redemption 2 from Rockstar Games, the only game from Rockstar on my list, and I have a lot of pride for this one as well. I think everyone knows this platinum is an absolute grind. 182 hours. I feel like I did that relatively quick too, or maybe my counter just wasn't working, because I know a lot of people say 200 to 250 is where they found the platinum to be at. Starting with the positives for Red Dead Redemption 2, for a PlayStation 4 game, the graphics are stunning. There's so much detail. Rockstar developed this game for thousands and thousands of hours, and for that they deserve to be commended for this achievement. One of the best games you'll ever play. The narrative is fantastic. It really grips you all the way through. Maybe not in the epilogue as much, but the story with Arthur Morgan really takes you on a ride, and you just want to see it through to the bitter end. On the negative side of things, Rockstar does not value gamers' time. There's an additional 150 hours on top of what you would do just playing through the story, and that's a little on the ridiculous side, especially when you need to study every animal and skin every animal, and I think there's over 125, maybe even over 150. The guide gives it a 5 out of 10, and I would bump it up to a 6, because getting the 70 gold medals in the story missions is not easy, because some of them are just next to impossible to get a gold medal on. Rarest trophy is the one for getting 70 gold medals in the story missions. Surprised this isn't a 0.1% though, but I guess a lot of people got those and were just like, yeah, I'm not skinning every animal and studying every animal. I'm good on that. The final game on my list that does not have a platinum is from Odyssey Interactive, and it is called Omega Strikers. It's kind of a top-down air hockey style game where you and 2 other people duke it out against 3 other people online. I jumped into this because it looked really fun, but was really disappointed to see that there was only 4 trophies. Somehow I knocked them all out in nearly under an hour. On PlayStation Profile, it says I did it in an hour and 34 seconds when the guide says it's going to take you about 5 hours. So I think I got really lucky. Was expecting them to add more trophies to this with it being such a short list, but they just never did. Game's pretty fun. I don't know. Check it out if you want. Back into the platinums at number 58 from ID Software is one of the most classic game series of all time. Doom Eternal from the Doom series. I think overall Doom is a pretty good time. The gameplay is fun for a first-person shooter. However, the narrative is just completely whatever. Game, in terms of getting the platinum, is really long because you do have to play through the campaign twice, and then there's DLC on top of that, and then on top of that you have online trophies. The online trophies, if you try to do them legitimately, way too long. Slow boosting, and you can get this one a little quicker. Jumping into the trophy list, you can see battle mode is the online mode for this, and that is where all of the rare trophies lie. Also, this one was pretty tough too, because you have to beat extra life mode, which is the entire campaign with 10 lives in your inventory. It's a little worrisome to think, oh, if I don't finish the campaign run this time with 10 extra lives, then I'm gonna have to do this all over again. At number 58 is the final game from Insomniac on my list, and that is Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. Comparing this to the first Ratchet & Clank, gameplay wise, it felt pretty similar. I don't think there's much of an upgrade. Where you do find enhancements are with the narrative and the visuals. Overall, I think this was kind of a whatever game. It's a super easy platinum. I think a 2 out of 10 is appropriate. Honestly, might even put it at a 1. It's that easy. I don't think my counter is right, 6 hours, because I'm guessing it took me more like 10 to 12. Peering into the trophy list, I honestly don't remember any of these trophies at all, so that must mean they were all pretty easy. At number 60 on my list is one of the most unique and extraordinary games I think you will ever find, and it's called Humanity from THA Ltd. The story with this game is pretty fascinating. It is developed by THA Ltd, which is a Japanese creative firm that's responsible for doing experimental art installations for Tokyo's toilets. No, that is not a joke. That is actually where this game came from, and they've never created a game before. This game actually holds a special place in my heart too, because it's the first game I ever played on stream. Check out my link to my Twitch channel down below if you'd like. Actually was able to beat it without any guy whatsoever, just all my noodle power, all raw deli meat. For that reason, I gave it a 4 out of 10, just because puzzle games are kind of hard for me. Speaking about the gameplay itself, you control little Shiba Inu and direct humans through puzzles. It's also surprisingly has a really strong message. I was actually blown away by what the ending had in store for it. Would recommend you just checking it out for that reason. The most rare or the most difficult trophy is actually the one for assembling the 7 wonders, which is what the worlds are called in this game. So 7 different worlds. Highly recommend. Not sure this studio will ever make another game, so might want to check this out. Number 61 on my list is one of the hardest games of all time, more difficult than all of the FromSoft games put together, and that is My Friend Peppa Pig from Outright Games. Yeah, so if you're wondering why this is on my trophy list, other than it being an actually super easy platinum, is because I lost a challenge. This was probably 2 of the goofiest hours that ever occurred on my stream. It was so goofy that one of my friends gave me a Peppa Pig, and the funniest thing about this is Peppa makes noises. Thank you very much, Match, for sending this to me. And the whole goal of the game is to visit Potato City. It's pretty much the hardest trophy, and once you get to Potato City, it's just a cutscene, and that's all you get. There are actually a few funny bits throughout the game, and if you want an easy platinum, go for this. Why not? A game that was much easier than My Friend Peppa Pig is number 62 on my list, and that is Horizon Zero Dawn from Guerrilla Games. I know Horizon is one of the more popular games that PlayStation has released. I think I struggle to understand why a little bit. The game just feels a little bland to me as far as open world games go. There's nothing that really the game excels at. Also, there's nothing that really sucks about the game. It's just not clicking for me with anything in particular. I think the design of the robots is pretty cool. The combat that you're able to perform against the robots doesn't really feel super exciting to me. I don't know if they were able to upgrade it in Horizon Forbidden West. This game just really felt super long to me, and I just didn't want to continue with the series. I think Aloy is an alright protagonist, but I cannot tell you a single other character in the game. Like, the narrative just is kind of whatever. Also, 51 hours feels really short compared to what it felt like to play through the game, especially with having to play through the campaign again on the hardest difficulty and also beating the DLC. So I was surprised to see that it was under 70 hours. If you like this game, kudos to you. I'm not here to yuck your yum or anything. As far as open world games go, I think I just would like a little bit more, a little more excitement. I think as far as the platinum goes, it is pretty easy, but I did bump it up to a 4 out of 10 just because the DLC and the New Game Plus trophies did actually turn out to be pretty tough for being the game on ultra hard. I was literally just sprinting through everything I could. Number 63 on my list is a game that I don't have the most positive feelings towards as well, and that is Dodgeball Academia from Pocket Trap. The name is appropriate being called Pocket Trap because I think it is a mobile game that they converted to PS4, and I felt trapped by it after a while. I kind of got sucked in because I have a positive outlook towards Dodgeball and My Hero Academia, so I thought, oh, combining those two things might be all right. Yeah, I was pretty wrong. This game took way too long. Some of the challenges were really difficult to get the S rank on. The gameplay is just super repetitive too. It doesn't have a ton of differentiation from the beginning to the end. I would just avoid this. Other than the collectible trophies, getting the S ranks on the challenges are by far the hardest thing you're going to do in this game. Number 64 on my list is one of the most popular indie games of all time from the controversial developer Toby Fox. Undertale. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it one way or another. What I do remember the most about Undertale, which I'm sure is the most notable takeaway from a lot of people, is this game is just one giant troll. Everything and anything will troll you. You're gonna feel like you're pretty stupid by the end of it. However, with that being said, the narrative is pretty funny. If you just accept the most terrible and nonsensical things will happen to you, then you kind of are just like, oh, this is great. I'm sure most of the people have checked this out already, but if you haven't, give it a try because it's an easy platinum. This is one of the funnier trophy lists too, because the platinum is literally called Don't You Have Anything Better to Do? It's not like it's a hard game, so he's just literally trying to take a jab at you for no reason. The most time-consuming thing for sure was just giving all of your money to the dog shrine, because I think you can only donate one increment at a time. It does take a little bit of time to pop these trophies. Number 65 on my list is a game that is more difficult than all the From Software games combined with My Friend Peppa Pig, and that is My Little Pony: A Maritime Bay Adventure from Melbot Studios. Yeah, you guessed it, I lost another challenge. When you're playing My Little Pony: A Maritime Bay Adventure, what you're going to notice right away is that you're going to have to activate your inner brony to really get through this platinum, or else you're just not going to be able to do it. Would not recommend for casual gamers. Stay away from this one if you aren't ready for a severe challenge. Yeah, and here's the trophy list, whatever. One of the cozier games on my list comes in at number 66, and that is Unpacking from Witchbeam. It's pretty simplistic, not a lot to it. You just literally unpack boxes in different locations. There's actually a narrative that coincides with the game that maybe you wouldn't recognize if you just kind of breeze through it. That makes the game a little more compelling. I think this is a game that every platinum trophy hunter should probably get into because it's a really easy platinum and you'll have a good time. I guess the rarest trophy for this game is flushing every toilet. I don't remember that being difficult, but that is kind of funny. Number 67 on my list is what I can comfortably say the best indie game of all time from Team Cherry, Hollow Knight. This game is unbelievable. It is so remarkable in every category. It is shocking to know that there were only 3 game developers. I don't know how they were able to accomplish this. They deserve all of the praise. All of the attention that they've gotten for this game is so well deserved. It's a masterpiece. I don't say that lightly. I don't think I've said it about any other game too. It is genuinely a masterpiece. In terms of combat for a 2D game, I think it is better than any other by far. The progression in 2 and what you're able to unlock is so so captivating. You're always wanting to take the next step. The music is phenomenal. The scenery for the background, the art is beautiful, is gorgeous. When I saw that I put 244 hours into this game, I was like, wow, that went by so quickly. It felt closer to 150 than 250. Looking at the percentages too for the platinum, I think this is pretty remarkable that it's almost at 9% and almost 2% on PSN, because this game is not easy. The Pantheons will kick your ass, especially Pantheon 5. I think I spent just 50 to 75 hours trying to beat the 5th Pantheon. It's really going to test your ability as a gamer. It's really going to make you ask the question, am I good enough to beat this game? This is the only game where I actually thought that. I gave it a 9 out of 10. I'm sure that there are harder games out there, but still, this is one of the toughest games you'll ever play in terms of getting the platinum. That shouldn't deter you from playing it at all. Even if you just want to play it for fun, play through the story, do it. Please do it. I cannot wait for Silksong. I will be playing that day one on stream without a doubt. And if you want to check out my Pantheon 5 run, it's on my YouTube channel too. I can't say enough good things about this game. I think it's probably my favorite game of all time. As you can see too, I got the Knight up here with me, and he'll always remain on stream to remind me of what a wonderful time it was. Peeking into the trophy list, if you are able to beat Pantheon 5, which I guess 2.2% of the people who have played this game have done it, it's such a rewarding experience. Once you pop it, a huge weight is lifted off your shoulders. You just really feel like you reached the summit of gaming, honestly. From the absolute high of gaming to something more mediocre at number 68 is Life is Strange True Colors from Deck 9. This is just a narrative driven game where you're kind of just walking around and seeing what the story is. I don't really want to harp on it too much because I didn't enjoy it. It's probably because off the back of Hollow Knight, anything stacking up against that is just going to be underwhelming. Easy trophies, easy platinum. The hardest thing you're going to do is finding the collectibles, which is easy with the guide. Continuing the streak of games that I didn't really enjoy, number 69, EA Sports FC 24 from EA Canada. I kind of gaslit myself into believing, oh, they're changing the name to EA Sports. Maybe that means they're overhauling the game. Nope, it didn't mean anything. They just changed the title because they didn't want to pay FIFA the licensing. You're going to notice that my in-game hours are going to drop a lot as the next EA Sports comes in. I do think that this platinum was easier to get than FIFA 22's for whatever reason. I don't remember anything being challenging about this. I think collecting the vanity items was the rarest trophy in FIFA 22 as well. Also, you can see that the more rare trophies are the clubs ones because those can be tough unless you find some people online that are pretty good. If you're able to do that, it should be a breeze. Number 70 is another indie game made by a single developer, and it's called Omno, and it's by Jonas Menke. This is a quick and exciting platformer game, actually. I would really recommend this if you want an easy platinum. I think I went for this because it was disappearing from the PlayStation Extra list, and yeah, it was actually a good time. Would recommend. Not much else to say, really. Don't really remember any of these trophies being difficult, so shouldn't have a hard time getting this platinum either. One of the more polarizing games on this list comes from Naughty Dog, and that is The Last of Us Part 1. I was pretty late to The Last of Us party. I really jumped into this because the show was coming out and I wanted to check out the game before I got into the show, so I went for the platinum here. The reason why I said this game is polarizing because it clicks in certain areas and it doesn't click in others. Where it works is the narrative, obviously. I think it's one of the better stories in gaming and it's really powerful at times. There are some moments that made me absolutely devastated, but in terms of gameplay, can't be the only one that thinks Naughty Dog makes trash gameplay, right? It's just not exciting. The stealth didn't feel as good as it could be. The shooting mechanics didn't feel great either. It felt kind of monotonous and I was getting bored after a while. And I didn't even spend that long in the game, just a little over 20 hours. It's just kind of silly that they keep repackaging this game and charging $70+ for it. At this point in time, I've watched the second season of the show, but I have not played the second game. The second season of the show was really lackluster compared to the first. I found Ellie's character to be very aggravating, and her dialogue also is just cringe a lot of the time. With all that being said, I don't think I'm the biggest fan of The Last of Us. Maybe I'll get into the second game eventually, but I'm really not in a rush to play it. A positive note with this game is this is a much more watered down version of the original trophy list that made getting the platinum easy. What I do remember though is engaging in all optional conversations for me. This one dialogue would just not activate. I had to restart the level maybe 7 or 8 times to try to get this trophy to pop, and eventually it did. I'm just kind of floored that a AAA game would have such difficulty with popping. Number 72 is another platformer from Gears for Breakfast, and it's called A Hat in Time.
This is actually a really exciting and fast-paced platformer. I was pretty shocked to see how fun it would be. Getting the platinum is pretty routine, you know, beat all the levels, get some collectibles, nothing too extraordinary. What does stand out about this game is that they decided to add a boss crawl to the DLC, and it is not a cakewalk. For that reason, I bumped it up to a 5 out of 10. Obviously, the guide's difficulty goes off the platinum, so I think a 3 is actually appropriate. It took me a while to beat this game, as you can see, almost 8 months, but that's just because the boss crawl really deterred me from getting the 100%. Nothing really standing out with the regular trophy list, but if you peer into the Seal the Deal DLC, you'll see this trophy is at 0.3%, and the only way to get all the Death Wish stamps is beating the boss crawl way harder than any other trophy in the game. At number 73 is Persona 4 Golden from Atlas. I don't think this one hits for me as much as Persona 5 did. That makes sense considering this game I think was originally for the PlayStation Portable, and then they ported it to the PS4. Still a good time, had fun with it. It was interesting to see what narrative choices they went with. The music in this game obviously is still great. It's not as guide oriented too as Persona 5. There's more leniency with the choices that you make each day, so you never have to follow like a strict routine. Spoilers, Adachi is one of the funniest villains of all time. Looking at the trophy list, it's funny because none of these trophies that are the most rare really stood out to me. The one that was the toughest for me was defeating the Reaper. I could not get the Reaper to spawn for the life of me. It took me like a whole extra day of playing through to try to get this guy to appear out of a chest. Overall, would recommend Persona 4. Also, I think I'll jump into Persona 3 Reload eventually, but gonna take a break from Persona for now. At number 74 is a game from Flying Wild Hog known as Trek to Yomi. This game is really tough. I bit off a lot more than I was expecting to chew with this one. I eventually got it done, but I did put it down a couple times because I was just getting my ass handed to me. The trophy list for this game has a lot of challenging things that you have to do. Your first playthrough is on the hardest available difficulty, where you can take maybe like 2 to 3 hits before you die. Once you beat the game the first time around, then Kensei mode is unlocked, which ultimately means if you get hit by anything at all, you're dead and you go back to the last checkpoint. Also, the gameplay is a little repetitive, so it can get a little monotonous. Once you find a groove with it, you'll understand how you can kind of cheese your way through some of the enemies. Some of the bosses are just unrealistically difficult too, so I bumped it up to a 6. I don't think a 5 is appropriate for that reason. On a positive note though, the game is beautiful. It's really nice to look at. Looking into the trophy list, I remember defeating this boss without getting hit was really tough. This boss in chapter 3, I'm pretty sure you're not even supposed to be narrative wise, but you can access the early ending if you do defeat him and pop the trophy for it as well. And also, like I said, defeating the game on Kensei mode. I do remember also, I think the collectibles might have been glitched for me, so I had to go back and unlock them, or I was just missing some that I thought I had. I was really concerned I wasn't going to get this platinum, but eventually I got it. At number 75 is a first-person narrative-driven puzzle game from Out of the Blue, and it is called Call of the Sea. This game is actually pretty fun if I remember correctly. Nothing about it really is extraordinary, but the narrative is pretty compelling. I'm not going to spoil too much about it because it is a big mystery, so if you want to jump into it and see what it entails, it's an easy platinum, so with a guide you'll be able to do this no problem. Peeking into the trophy list too, I don't remember anything really standing out here, but I think the story logs is the collectibles for the game, so that was probably the most tedious trophy. Into the final quarter of the trophies on my list, and at number 76 from Pandemic Studios, we have the classic Star Wars Battlefronts. I was really excited at first to see these repackaged onto modern consoles. However, the publisher Aspyr absolutely fumbled what was supposed to be a promising online experience for these games, that it just kind of tarnished it. And I believe they also stole assets from other people on top of that. Kind of just left a sour taste in my mouth and what should have been a huge nostalgia trip for me, because I absolutely loved these games growing up. I remember going over to my buddy's house to play the second one all the time, and I think I had like an old piece of crap Dell computer that I would run the first game on and would just kill so much time playing Galactic Conquest. It was still fun to get the platinum for these, even more so playing the campaigns on the hardest difficulty. That made it a little bit more of a challenge for me, but I think a 3 out of 10 is appropriate. Looking at these trophies, I do remember the counter for the Star Wars Battlefront 2 trophies for the different classes not really working that well. It took a little bit longer than I thought it was going to. I'm sure for some people that could be a little frustrating. At number 77 is a game from Hero Beat Studios known as Endling, where you play as a mother fox who tries to protect her cubs. I was actually shocked to see how compelling the gameplay would be in this title. You face some pretty difficult challenges, and it's a pretty expansive map as well. The narrative is also pretty striking because you have to deal with the consequences of environmental destruction at the hands of humans. That definitely tugged on the heartstrings a little bit, made it difficult to see the end of this game. There's nothing too challenging about it either. Don't remember anything too difficult about these trophies. Looking at them too, I think trying to give your cubs every type of food in the game may have been a little challenging because there's not really a checklist for it, so it just pops once you've been able to do it. Number 78
88 on my list is a game from Chu Hai Labs called Curse to Golf. This game roped me in pretty easily because I do enjoy some golf. I really didn't pay attention to it too closely and just saw the guide say it was a 3 out of 10, so thought, oh, quick and easy platinum, shouldn't be too difficult, not too many hours. That was just not true at all. This game is a challenge. It is absolutely a roguelike golf game too, where if you fail, you go all the way back from whatever hole you're on to hole number 1. Luckily for me, with saves coming, I was able to get it through 1 try. If you try to play this legit, probably be even higher than a 5. It'd be more like a 7 or an 8. Watch out for this one. Don't fall into the trap like I did. With that being said though, it is still a fun game. It still can be enjoyable if you're just into something that's more challenging. Looking at the trophies, there are a lot of them for finishing the holes in 1 to 3 shots. You kind of just have to get lucky and hope a hole is generated for you, where this is pretty easy. I benefited from some luck and was able to do these pretty much no problem, but this is for sure the hardest trophy, is finishing the 18-hole run. I haven't seen this on too many other trophy lists before, so if you do have this one, let me know because I'd be interested to see who else does. Number 79 is a fairly well-known puzzle game from Pillow Castle called Superliminal. This is a pretty interesting game where you have to kind of contort the camera and use different angles to solve puzzles. It's a lot of fun though. I really had a good time with it. It's a puzzle game too where I don't think you're gonna have to look up anything. You kind of just gotta play around with the game and then you'll be able to figure out most of the difficult parts. What I will say though is there's a speedrunning trophy where you have to beat the game in 35 minutes, but you should be able to do that on your second playthrough once you understand all the puzzles. Like I said, there's the trophy for beating the game in under 35 minutes. Also, I think doing the fire extinguisher trophy was kind of tough because there's a lot of fire extinguishers. You're never really gonna know how many you have done until this trophy just pops. Number 80 on my list is another indie game from Variable State called The Last Stop. It's a British narrative driven game. It's kind of whatever, and being completely transparent, I actually confused this with another game on my trophy list. That's how much it didn't stick with me. It's an easy platinum if you want to bang it out in a little under 10 hours. Nothing really too compelling with it, so if you avoid it, I could understand. Looking into the trophies, you can see none of them are at a low percentage and they're all narrative driven, so yeah, shouldn't be a hard time getting this platinum. At number 81 is the rarest platinum on my trophy list from Visual Concepts NBA 2K24. So you've heard me trash EA and their FIFA EA Sports FC series. 2K takes it to another level in terms of a dumpster fire with this because I played a lot of 2K growing up. The games are pretty good. I also grew up playing basketball in Southern California, so I had to get me a physical edition of the Kobe Bryant cover. I grew up a huge Lakers fan and I still am, and I love the NBA. I think it was only right for me to at least get one platinum trophy from NBA 2K, but man, did I regret it. I wish I had a lot of these 230 hours back. It's just a grueling and absolute displeasure to get this platinum. 5 out of 10 really on the difficulty scale doesn't do it justice too, with just how monotonous and boring it will be to try to get this platinum. There's just so many trophies alone that take 25 plus hours on their own that you're thinking, when will this end constantly? I did it for Kobe though, rest in peace. Diving into the trophy list here, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 trophies that are under 1% achievement. The ones towards the top are just so ridiculous. I love me some women's hoops too. The WNBA is sick. This trophy sucks. It's so boring. There's no way you can speed it up. It's like 30 hours you playing the W. Also, this trophy super shiny where you have to play a 13-man lineup with holo cards. You'll notice the date on this is several months later than all the other trophies. That's because I don't even know if this was possible up until a certain point. You just had to get lucky with packs. I just kept sitting and waiting thinking there must be an easier way to attain this trophy. I think it's fairly obvious why this is my rarest platinum. I will never ever touch NBA 2K again. Also, just from a gameplay standpoint, this game sucks. Totally unrealistic into how basketball is actually played. I think they should just stop making this game series altogether, and honestly they should liquidate every asset involved with the creation of this game. You gotta be crazy to buy this game year over year. It is awful. Switching gears to a game that absolutely does not suck is number 82 on my list, Astro's Playroom from SIE Japan. This was actually the first platinum I got, but obviously they added some DLC trophies, so that pushed it way farther down on the list. This was such a beautiful introduction to PlayStation 5. I thought this platformer was just great, and it's a quick and easy platinum as well. I won't go into too much detail because there's more to come from this game series. Looking at the trophies too, I think the very far point is one of my favorite trophies ever. The last thing that you get for unlocking everything in the game, and then you just jump your way up to the very top and the trophy pops. It was a really cool way to showcase all of the hardware that Sony has created for PlayStation throughout the years. Even though I'm new to the party with PlayStation, it still was a really welcomed experience. At number 83, we're returning to unnecessarily long and grindy games again with Batman Arkham Knight from Rocksteady. I wish I could go back and punch myself in the face for even popping a trophy with this one. I remember booting it up and thinking, oh cool, Batman. I like Batman. Let's see what this is. Didn't look at the trophy list at all. I started this game before I ever had the intention of 100%ing my profile. This was probably the biggest hurdle towards me getting the 100%. Once I got this one done, the biggest weight off my shoulder. Bumped it up to a 5 out of 10 too, because even just the base platinum is not easy at all. There's just a few trophies that are ridiculous. If you're not familiar with why this game is insanely grindy, it's because there are 110 trophies. Let me say that again. There are 110 trophies on this list. There are so many DLC packs, and the last one is a nightmare. It is almost impossible. I spent probably around 30 hours just on that last DLC pack. While I do remember the gameplay actually being pretty fun, I just was dreading playing this game every time I booted it up. That's why it took me almost 3.5 years. Looking at the base game trophies, this trophy was ridiculous. I feel like I performed the 15 different combat moves several times before I got this trophy to pop, and then it just randomly did out of nowhere. Also, getting the stars in the AR challenges is such a grind too, and you have to do more of them in the DLC. This is the absolutely nightmarish DLC pack, the community challenge pack. Looking through this DLC pack, you'll notice that 5 of these trophies are 0.1 percenters for a good reason, because none of them are easy. Do not play this game if you're trying to 100% it. Just don't. Save yourself almost 200 hours and play something else. At number 84, we're returning to the independently developed games, and it's a fairly known one, and that is Tunic from Andrew Schuldice. Very, very impressive that this game comes from one developer. I believe it took them over 7 years to make this game. Truthfully, it deserved more from me because I just popped open a guide and quickly rushed through it to get a platinum in about 4 hours. I think you should go into this game blind. I really messed up. I should have just played this without a guide and seen what it had to offer, and the gameplay felt really fun in the short few hours that I played through it. Maybe I'll go back one day and give Tunic a full playthrough, because I think it's a game that really was made with a lot of love and care and deserved way more attention from me. Reminiscing on some of the trophies here, I do remember the art style really standing out to me also, especially the pages in the book that kind of give you an idea of how big the world is. I think without a guide, the platinum would be pretty difficult, considering it's a Metroidvania style game, so you really wouldn't know what you were doing unless you had a guide to follow. Continuing with the indie titles, at number 85 from Toad's Productions is one of the coziest games of all time, Coffee Talk. Fairly simple and straightforward platinum. You make some coffee, listen to the narrative, meet some wacky characters, and overall it's a great time. The music is wonderful. I actually added to my phone because it helps me to fall asleep. It's so nice. I'll be honest, that did hinder my progression in the game though, because I probably could have finished it in a few hours less, but I was just really enjoying the music and trying to actually read the dialogue too. So if you try to speed through the game, you can get it done in maybe a few hours at most. If there were to be a strenuous part of the game, it would be the challenge mode where you have to make 50 correct drinks in a row, but there are guides where you can look up all the different ingredients that you need for the drinks. Even though there is a time crunch, you can just pause it and the timer will stop. So there's really nothing challenging at all about challenge mode. At number 86 is a fairly well-known game from Tarsier Studio, and is Little Nightmares 2. I've been meaning to play Little Nightmares for the longest time and have it in my library. There wasn't a platinum, so I wasn't as motivated to jump into it. But then when I realized that Little Nightmares 2 is a prequel to Little Nightmares, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just jump into that first. This game is fantastic. It is so great. I had a blast playing this game. The art style is beautiful. Everything is so cute yet creepy at the same time. For a game that's a thriller side-scroller type game, it really stands out. I did some deep dives on the narrative after I finished the game, and there was a lot more to it. This game is really fleshed out and complex. There's some twists and turns that maybe you weren't expecting if you aren't really paying attention. Highly recommend Little Nightmares 2. Super easy platinum to get also. There's no difficult trophies. I believe Little Nightmares 3 is eventually coming out also, so I'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Peering into the trophy list too, I think the more difficult ones are just some collectibles or some miscellaneous trophies that you can get along the way. People may have missed them because they weren't playing with the guide, so that's why they are the most rare. At number 87, I promise this is the last one and will be the last one forever. EA Sports FC 25 from Electronic Farts, Vancouver. You're gonna know straight away from the significantly fewer hours that I put into this game that the quality just dropped off so immensely from FIFA 22 to EA Sports FC. It's been dropping off since like FIFA 17, to be honest. A lot of people would put up with it, including myself, because I really just love the beautiful game. It's funny because I'm recording this the day after they released the trailer for EA Sports FC 26. I'm not going to gaslight myself into believing that 26 is going to be any better. I think it's just time for me to focus on games that are made with a lot more passion and quality. I will be retiring from EA Sports / FIFA. On God, okay? You can hold me to this. Also, with the trophies for EA Sports FC 25 compared to 24, they switched them up a little bit, added some new ones. I have a funny story about this one. I was trying to do this with a few other people that weren't the highest of skill level. Trying to do clubs is kind of difficult because you can come up against teams that practice together all the time and they'll just destroy you. We were, I think, in Division 1, right before the Elite Division. You have to win so many games in a row. I think it's like 5 or 6. We were on our second to last game and we were down 5-4, I think, or something. We were down a goal and we needed to win. And I remember I just was like, screw it, give me the ball. And I scored 2 goals in the final few minutes to save us from having to do it over again. Really grabbed this trophy by the scruff of the neck and just said, give me this trophy, because I was so tired of going for the platinum here. Was so elated to be done with this. At number 88, we returned to the indies with a game called Lake from Gamius. This is the game I actually confused with The Last Stop because I think the L titles threw me off and the artwork on the trophy list is a little similar. This game is actually more like Death Stranding, but if you stripped everything away from Death Stranding, that makes it enjoyable. This game is actually just delivering mail. There's a narrative intertwined. It's just so boring. Wouldn't recommend, honestly. I think you could avoid this one. The trophies here too are for the different endings, and I do remember you have to save scum at a certain point and then go through all of the endings, and it does take a while to get through the final chapter, so it was a little tedious trying to get through the final chapter 3 different times. Continuing with the indies, at number 89 is a title called Cardo from Sunhead Games. You can kind of see when I got into the 80s, I was just trying to do shorter platinums to get me closer to 100. This game is actually really cute and clever. It's a puzzle game where you kind of have to rotate maps around to figure out where you're supposed to go next. Honestly, I don't even think you'd be able to complete this game without a guide. It can be that confusing at times, but with a guide, it shouldn't be impossible by any means. I think there's actually a few missable trophies here too. You might want to make some save files along the way just in case you mess up. The art style is really pretty. It's fun to look at. It was a breeze to get through also. I really wanted to keep playing it. Recommend this one if you haven't checked it out already. Peering into the trophies also, you can see some of these are for hidden endings, and some of them, like this, finish the 3 levels of the Tower of Hanoi in the fewest steps. You absolutely need to follow a guide for, or you're just not going to get this trophy and you'll have to reset the chapter or reset from whatever save point you have, so be careful. At number 90 is one of the most fantastic games I've played from Studio MDHR. I'm sure you've heard of it. Cuphead. I have a video of Cuphead on my channel if you want to see my full platinum playthrough. It was a great time. I think in terms of 2D games, this only really stands below Hollow Knight. The gameplay is super smooth. The artwork is awesome. It really captures a unique aesthetic too that I don't think a lot of other games have. It really just draws you back. You keep wanting to get better at the game. Once you conquer the learning curve too, it really opens up to you, and I think it gets even easier than the guide says it is. I think what factors into my 7 rating too is that it's just so much fun. It didn't feel like it was impossible at any point. Looking at the rarest trophies here too, this is not a surprise to me even a little, because I think these were all the most challenging trophies for me, especially Pacifist. The final level for the Pacifist trophy is just RNG. You just have to get lucky and hope that the shrimps don't absolutely destroy you at the end. This just will hurt your thumb, so it might take you a while. Completing the game on expert wasn't too challenging, but I think this isn't unlocked until the very end, so I'm sure a lot of people gave up on the game before they got to this point. At number 91 on my list is another indie called Roki from Polygon Treehouse. I really don't remember much about this game if I'm being completely honest, and it's kind of scary because I only played it a few months ago. Probably not worth your time. I don't remember it being particularly difficult. Getting through this trophy list too, I don't even remember a single one of these trophies. I just must have had my head down and tried to grind this out as quickly as possible. At number 92 is a game called Animal Well, also made by a single developer called Billy Basso. And if you don't know the story with this game, it is published by Big Mode, which is YouTuber Video Game Donkey's publishing company. I believe Donkey just discovered this game at an event, and I'm glad he did because it is phenomenal. It is such a fun little platformer, Metroidvania puzzle style game. The art style is so so cool. It's all in a black backdrop and it really stands out with the neon coloring. Super vibrant. Absolutely loved it. I wish I hadn't followed the guide like I did with Tunic to really discover what this game was all about at first. I would have been lost for a lot of it because there's just some challenging parts. Don't know if I would have been able to complete without it. What Billy was able to capture in terms of gameplay was super creative with this one. Highly recommend. You'll have a blast playing this game. In terms of the platinum, I did bump it up to a 4 because I do remember, like I said, some bits that were actually really hard. I think a 3 is a little on the low side. Probably would bump it up to a 4 for sure. I think this sneaking up on a squirrel trophy is one that you could perform right at the start. So if you missed it, then you weren't going to get this trophy unless you went back and did another playthrough. Finding all the secret eggs is definitely the hardest part, as well as just completing the game in general. At number 93 is a fairly well-known franchise from Bethesda Games, Fallout 4. I actually started this game when the Fallout show first aired because I was really caught up in the universe and was like, oh, I really want to see what this is about. Then once I did some Fallout 4, I discovered what the trophy list entailed and all of the DLC and was like, oh yeah, I don't know if I should have done this. In the end, I think it was a good experience overall. I'd never really played a Bethesda game before. I only played like a little bit of Skyrim growing up at my friend's house, but that was it. I think the narrative is really entertaining. It can be gripped throughout, although the gameplay was just a little clunky for me at times and it felt a little repetitive. It's another game where they just had way too much DLC. I don't have negative feelings towards Fallout, but I wouldn't say I absolutely love the game either. I think it's just in that middle territory for me. Would I play another? I don't know, maybe. I definitely think I'm more interested in the show and just kind of seeing how that universe evolves, especially with the GOAT, Walton Goggins. If you know anything about this trophy list too, you'll know that reaching maximum happiness in a large settlement, this is really difficult. It took the most time out of any trophy for sure. In order to get to the large settlement ranking too, I was just throwing as many paintings on the walls as I could. This trophy had me stressed, to say the least. Also, this DLC pack was one of the more challenging ones too. Redeeming 100,000 tickets is so time consuming. I had to glitch a basketball shot where I set up 3 of them in a row and just was spamming the ball up and down in creative mode until eventually I got all the tickets, and that took at least an hour. All sugared up, I think this trophy is glitched or the counter is broken or something, because I must have killed hundreds of Nuka World creatures and it would just not pop for the life of me. You can notice the date on this one is way later than all the other trophies for this pack. Fallout was an interesting game, to say the least. At number 94 on my list is a beautiful and wonderful indie game from Sabotage called Sea of Stars. If you aren't familiar with this game, you should get to know it because it is awesome. It's an 8-bit art-styled turn-based combat game with a wonderful narrative, some amazing music, and some fun and wacky characters. The gameplay cycle keeps you gripped throughout, as well as you keep unlocking new things. The fun thing about the turn-based combat too is there's a lot of timing involved with it, so you're not just going to be sitting there pressing something and then waiting for it to happen. You really have to pay attention to the combat also to get the maximum amount of efficiency out of it. The game is a little bit on the longer side. I think the base game takes you about 40 hours. Might be a little time consuming to get this platinum, but if you're into turn-based combat, you like Persona or anything of that nature, absolutely try this out. You're definitely going to need a guide for a lot of these trophies, but defeating 10 bosses with the Artful Gambit relic, it is tough because it just diminishes your health drastically. I think you lose about 95% of it. You have to go back and do another playthrough and just fight some of the early bosses with it on, or it's just not going to be attainable. Trying to do this at the end is just not realistic. Also, an annoying feature with this 100% too is a lot of these trophies in the Dawn of Equinox pack require you to have 3 controllers. Just a fair warning in case you do go for this. At number 95 is one of the most popular titles in all of gaming from CT Project Red, Cyberpunk 2077. This game underwent a roller coaster ride with the publicity that it garnered before it released, and then having one of the most shockingly bad releases ever, especially for console, and then actually turning out to be a fantastic game in the end. And I'm glad I waited to play it. It is so awesome. It is one of the best narrative open world games you will play. There's so much versatility in terms of the combat, the narrative. Keanu Reeves is such a phenomenal Johnny Knoxville. He keeps you entertained. There's so many other stellar performances throughout, and the DLC even throws Idris Elba at you. I never really played any of the Witcher games before, so this was my introduction to CG Project Red. Just off Cyberpunk 2077, I would love to play one of the Witcher games. I think the 4th one is coming out, or they're doing another remake of the 3rd. When I saw that I played it for 92 hours also, I was shocked because it really feels like a fraction of that. It's another game like Spider-Man where I just never use fast travel because driving around is so good. It's on GTA level. I will say say though that the trophy hunting for this game isn't the best because you do have to go through all the endings to pop the trophies for those. There's no trophy that's impossible or anything, so this should be a pretty straightforward platinum. Finding all of the data terms being the rarest trophy is a little surprising to me because I don't remember this being tough at all. I think I popped this pretty early on. There were some other ones that definitely took me a little bit longer than that one. At number 96 is a fairly well-known game from the Gentle Bros called Cat Quest. If you couldn't already tell my love for cats from Stray, I will reaffirm it here. I actually liked this game too. It was pretty fun. I was surprised how fleshed out it would be. While I did not pay attention to the narrative one bit, I will say the combat was actually pretty fun. For the 10 hours I invested into it, I think it's worthwhile for the platinum. Looking through the trophies too, these are for sure the 3 hardest. The 66 armor reaching level 99 and clearing all the dungeons. For whatever reason, I don't know if one of my armor pieces was glitched, but I could not get the last one to spawn for me for the longest times. Reaching level 99 wasn't that difficult. I could just farm off one dungeon that had several dragons in it to just boost your XP up. From there, got the platinum, no problem. At number 97 is the sequel to a game that was already on my list from Toad's Productions, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. I really enjoyed the first Coffee Talk, as I mentioned previously. I was a little disappointed by the second game though, because there wasn't much more to it. It really is just a continuation of Coffee Talk. However, if you like this game, it's a super straightforward platinum. I don't know why the guide says it's 20 hours because it took me about half of that time. I bumped it down to a 2 also because it's pretty much the same game again. As long as you follow the guide to a T, you should be able to get this platinum easy breezy. I think there's a 3rd episode coming out eventually, so I'll be on the lookout for that to complete the trilogy. I won't spoil what these 2 trophies are about in case you haven't gotten to them already. These are the ones that if you don't follow the narrative properly in the guide, you won't be able to get these. Just pay attention to it and you should be able to get this platinum. I already gushed about number 98 enough. It was so nice that I did it twice. Death Stranding from Kojima Productions. Obviously Death Stranding 2 came out recently, so I wanted to jump back into the first game again. I think I probably beat Death Stranding as fast as you possibly could. The guide still says it's 100 hours and I did it in 66, but I guess if you already know what you're supposed to do for the platinum, it makes it a lot easier. Obviously I played the PS4 version, so the director's cut, and the director's cut really does enhance the game a lot, specifically the delivery bots, because that can make getting orders around super easy. But still, just a wonderful game. I've already talked about this enough, so let's move on to the next one. We're nearing the end, so I have to scrunch down here a little bit, but you may have guessed, as I alluded to with the last game, number 99 on my list, Death Stranding 2 On the Beach from Kojima Productions. I really thought I loved Death Stranding after playing through the first game twice. I didn't know how much the game would mean to me by the end of Death Stranding 2. I think it's fair for me to say it's probably my favorite game series ever now. A little bit of recency bias, sure. Death Stranding 2 is a masterpiece. It takes Death Stranding and elevates it to another gear. Kojima Productions really tried to hone in on what the game lacked in the first go round, and they killed it. Home run, grand slam, whatever you want to say. The narrative is the best narrative in any video game that I've played, at least. I don't know if there's anything that could even compete with it. The visuals are so stunning too. I really think the combat in Death Stranding was lacking a little bit. Death Stranding 2, not the case whatsoever. They added so many different weapons and so many other features that enhance the combat even more. If you check out my Death Stranding 2 video, you'll notice the parts where I'm having the most fun are when I'm in combat. 100%, no doubt. I played on brutal difficulty, so I'm gonna bump it up to a 4 just for that reason. It probably is a 3 if you play on the lower difficulties. I could sit here for hours and talk about how good Death Stranding 2 is. This video's already getting long enough. Really hope they don't add any DLC to Death Stranding 2, selfishly, because I like the way that these 2 games look on my trophy list now. Obviously, if they do add DLC, I'll play it right away. Looking at the trophies, the 2 that took me the longest amount of time are the rarest. Season Porter is a difficult trophy because there's just not that many elimination / destruction standard orders that you're going to find in the game. Maximizing your connection at all of the facilities compared to the first game is just way tougher. The people in the facilities are just outright greedy at times. They just want so much from you. This trophy can be a little tedious, to say the least. And the final platinum trophy on my list, number 100 from Team Asobi, Astrobot. I'm really scrunched down here because I want to get the full list in. If I didn't stress enough in Astro's Playroom how great this game is, I really need to hammer home. Astrobot is even better. I think it's probably one of the best, if not the best, platformer games there is. And yes, it rivals Nintendo with Mario Odyssey for sure. It is that good. It's just such a wonderful experience. I can only say good things about this game. It's a quick and easy 25 hours. That's including the DLC time I've spent too, so the game's probably even closer to 20 hours. I wish wish it was way longer. Collecting all the Astrobots from all the different games that Sony has released is so cool. I'm so ecstatic every time they release more DLC levels too. I will gladly play them. It's cool for the time trial levels to see my time stacked up against others on my friends list. It's such a fun sit back on the couch and just chill out type of game. Platinum is super straightforward. There's no trophies that are even difficult. And truthfully, I don't remember any of these trophies really standing out. The game itself sticks out more than getting the platinum 100%. The DLC levels are nothing to just shy away from. Also, they're actually really well done. And here's the moment we've all been waiting for to see what the next game I'll be platinuming is. On the wheel we have Dead Space, Cult of the Lamb, Alan Wake Remastered, Shifu, God of War Ragnarok, Stardew Valley, and Bloodborne. Huge variety here, a lot of big titles. I can't wait to see what it's gonna be. Let's spinner! Oh my god. Oh, I thought it was gonna be Bloodborne for sure. But hey, we'll take Dead Space. I don't know anything about the trophy list for this. Dead Space, from the outside looking in, seems like a really fun title. I'm excited to get into it. Video to come soon for this. If you want to check out the stream, go to twitch.tv/michaelsdeli, or you can click one of the links down below. You'll be able to see me stream this. Okay, see you there. Bye. Oh, you're still here? Well, in that case, maybe you want to do me a solid. Hit the subscribe button. Maybe share the video with somebody that you know who's a trophy hunter. Drop a like, leave a comment too. I would love to know other people's experiences with trophy hunting, as well as some potential titles for me to make videos on in the future. On a serious note, if you did make it this far into the video, thank you very much. I genuinely very much appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting into Dead Space soon. More to come from the Deli in the future, so stay tuned. Okay, bye. See you. Bye. Bye. Love you. Bye.
It's all a dream.
Yeah, just a dream.